Quite the talent he is. Proper chatterbox yada. If you're keen, it'll be brilliant. Today, we're going to keep it simple. I'll bark out a basic command and you watch. Keen to know? He'll set your tail wagging. Does mine, hence why I'm backing him. Right then, Wookie here. Do take a seat, won't you? Give us your full attention while we listen to my pal, Yada.
I am quite certain that I will never tire of John Voight's Yada introduction for this by the Wookie. And we do have the Wookie right here. Handsome Wookie has earning his place, but that's as good as intros ever become. All right, so we have, I guess, 12 of us here if we count Kara and the Wookie. Over on my far left, which would be over this other side of the screen, we have the lovely Leia. She is with Kara, and good to have you.
Industriously chewing away on a bone.
Oh, she disappeared. Then we have beneath her Dr. Jeff. If we can get Leia back. There's Leia. Hey, Dr. Jeff.
Good afternoon. Shabbat Shalom. I'm looking forward to this very, very much.
Yeah, you were off trying to save somebody. Actually, what you did is you prolonged their life long enough for them to say quality goodbyes to their family during our last broadcast, correct?
Yeah, that was one of the things that happened. As I told Kevin, it was a trifecta of that woman, and then a young man, and then another gentleman who was in cardiac tamponade. So I was dealing with three things at once, but she was the main item.
Mm. Well, I'm glad I guess it worked out. I mean, she didn't survive, but she was able to live long enough for her family to come in and for her to say her goodbyes. And that's
the family was grateful. They were grateful and very, very, very kind and appreciative.
Lovely. And we have Mike. How are you doing, Mike?
Good. Yeah. Good. Been working, trying to figure out Leah's questions on Facebook.
He's a good student.
Okay.
He's a very good student.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Leah has, you have a Facebook following now?
No. Just intellectual Torah banter between two astute students.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's funny now that I'm not spending any time on social media. I don't spend any time on X or Facebook or YouTube or any place else. We live stream these programs, but spending all my time now on our own website in communication. So it's nice to know.
Well, the question was what the lilies represent on the sails of my ship on the latest promo.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
What do those lilies mean?
Yeah, we call them.
Who are those lilies?
We call them invites. In fact, we're going to go through the website here in a moment, and we'll talk about how we're presenting those. But I hope you passed the test there, Mike.
Oh, yeah. I got the Hosha one right. Did I get the, let's see, the Shamanim Eduth and Shushan Eduth one right?
I haven't looked today. I've been busy.
Okay, well,
I'll look at it. I'll definitely look at that.
On Facebook illiterate, so I didn't
it's under
tag
review.
you, I think, on those, but I tagged you later.
Yeah. All right, and Will, what's going on in your life?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It was a great week, and this is perfect because I wanted to plug the website. The website is it's phenomenal, not just the translation end, but you're just able to search the books very quickly. And I told you I was doing some work on the stem, so I could look up, for example, the Hofal stem and see, and you mentioned that hundreds of times, and sometimes it's repetitive, but then you might find a gem in there. And I was blending some of that with James's cheat sheet on the stems and conjugations, and then doing some of my own research. But it's just such a great resource in one spot. You can just get so much done on that. I'm grateful. I was very upset that the last website was hacked like that. I felt deprived a little bit, but now it's back and it's far better.
Yeah, it is far better. And it was a hideous,
and more beautiful.
It's a hideous thing that they did, and that's one of the reasons I think that Yahowah devoted the 57th chapter of Isaiah to dispatching them to Sheol. But the fact of the matter is, it was the impetus to get our good friend Joe programming for us. And so when it went down, he was he did no other option at that point, pal. You need to bring up the new vision. And we had been working on it behind the scenes for 3 months, but we had to go live with it. And we've been sort of testing it and improving it along the way. And we're going to talk about that website today as part of this program. But thank you for mentioning that. I think that, from an elegance point of view, the new website is amongst the most beautiful you're going to find anywhere. But it is also exceedingly robust. That site has access to so much material, and
we're working on some things behind the scenes that you don't know about.
Yeah, it is. It's the best of all worlds at this point. It does Facebook better than Facebook on blogs. It does YouTube better than YouTube on videos and blogs. It does a book presentation site better than any of them because of the search engines that are associated with it, and also the translation tools that are all there. In fact, as you were speaking of the grammar cheat sheet, one of the things that would probably be helpful between Will and JB, if you guys can create a version of it that works for the site, then we can take the translation page, which right now has translations followed by Dead Sea Scrolls and glossary, and we could add yet another link, which would be the grammar index and tools, and it'd just be another nice resource to people.
And the media could also put together a video.
Yes, we could.
I'm sure Craig and Leah and my precious family, as you're going to discuss in Yirma'yah, you have the ultimate authority and recommendation and endorsement from our Abba.
Yeah,
it says it
plain. Both in Yahowah, in Yirma'yah, and in Yahowah and in Hosea, all three places, Yahowah says that the future of instruction of his people is yada Yahowah. So you don't get a better endorsement than that. It means that this has been a collaboration, and God's pleased with what we have achieved together.
If I may, it doesn't stop Yisra'el from spitting in our direction.
No, but
we are leaving behind, though, a very beautiful legacy for those who do want to listen. That's right. For those who do want to shamar.
Yeah, the purpose of the website, and we're going to tour it again this evening, is to provide access to high quality information in every possible way, such that those who are interested will find the truth. It's all there for anybody, no matter what angle or what device they're approaching us on, and it's a beautiful thing. As far as people hating us for it, so much the better. That is goes with the territory.
Yeah.
So, JB, in fact, anything that you think you have on your site that would be augmentative, let's share it, and we'll put it under resources or wherever it might go, because we have a bunch of subtext that exist on the website. So there's lots of places to put it, and it's designed to be an educational tool.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll reach out to Rich about how to get it in there and work on that.
Okay. Yep. Well, you're looking like you moved into a different room. It looks like you're in a guest bedroom there, my friend Captain Kirk.
Same place. I just let the light in. It was getting kind of dark. So,
okay. That's actually the same place. Okay. We never saw the background before. Just we knew there's a picture in the room, and it's as your wife says, you are, since those are all your drawings, you are well hung in your own bedroom. Nice to have the wife's endorsement in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Kevin, here you've come up from the depths of sickness. You self-inflicted coma the last couple of days, so you can recover. You're still looking a little white at this point, but
out here getting some vitamin D. So
you're out there on our pool deck. So it's nice to see you there. It is getting late in the day. You won't need any more sunscreen at this point, but good to have you here on our pool deck. It's good to have the family together. We're going to actually, and we have Rich and Perry off to the side. I don't know if Rich has a way to say hello to it. There he is. So
working in the background.
Hanging. One of these shows, we'll put a remote camera on behind Rich so that you can see the 5 or 6 different screens that he is monitoring simultaneously. It is quite a job.
We did rearrange that one camera tonight, so it's a different shot. So.
Okay, all right. Well, good to have you and everybody here. We have Perry over in the corner. He's out of camera range currently, but over in the far corner is Perry. So, what we want to do is what we like to do on these programs when there is a new song. This one is called Sing Boldly. It is a song that I have not heard yet. So, and I understand there's a number of them in the pipeline that are really good too, that I have not yet heard. So it's always a surprise and a wonderful way to start. And we will, after we hear it, we'll also show on the website how you can go and all of the songs will eventually be listed on the website. I think we now have about 55 or so, maybe 60 of the 80. But we've had a number of people comment that the songs are in many ways a more effective way for us to reach the target audience of Yisra'el than even are these blogs or the books. So powerful message, and God's all in with songs. I mean, you have well over 100 of them, upwards of 150 that made the final cut, and even the mashal are written in a prose that could easily become a song as well. So it's God's preferred style. So let's go ahead and play Sing Boldly.
Just a few more lines, just a few more times, and I know why I sing, just to feel life. You are my song in the garden, drunk on honey wine, roses and marigolds. I knew you before time took hold. I sing and divulge it all just so you might notice, but instead you connive, you don't hear me out. It's not that you're cruel, you are lame and blind, and you do not see that the beauty in me is because of Yah. Tell me, what do I do to get you to hear this song? Places blood of my love abound. Mix it with ash and the dust from the ground, and mix it with blood and mix it with love, because you mix it all up. It's the price we pay for being wrong. Tell me, when will you get it right? Get back the eye just to get it right. Do I have to crawl right through time, or did you notice when I spoke in your ear all the things you have not heard? I've been dancing in your silence, I've been learning while you are stagnant. I've taught you to garden and I brought you fruit. I've been listening while you turned away. You act like nothing's wrong even when I sing this song. Yet you decay and waste away. Crashing down around your family and homes, and yet you still, and yet you still, and yet you still do not know what's wrong, what's going hands in the midst of darkened days and watch you dance with another, a dark dance. Has he got you feeling all alone, sullied and bruised? Woman, the sheep have gone astray and far away. They don't know where they have been, where they are going, or how to get there. Wolves are turned to the right, chased into the jaws like prey. You act like nothing's wrong while I sing this song. You know what's going on. I'll bring it all to mind that you forgot his name. Ooh, it's Yahowah.
Another beauty. Yeah,
I bet.
I don't know who did the graphics for that, but that was also
Mariah and Maddie.
Okay, so Mariah and Maddie, and thank you for bringing the young Leia to light as well. It's beautiful, and in fact, it reminds me. I think that we need to take probably the 3 best of the musical group songs and put them in a prioritized position on the homepage of our site, so that it is such a marvelous way of welcoming people. Now, it is true that with a song like that, as with all of Leia's song, you actually need a book to explain all of the symbols and all of the words and turns of phrases, and also the imagery, the visual imagery that's in them. I don't know if we'll ever get anybody to do that, but that would be an interesting thing where you could click on anything, pause the song, click on something, and it would tell you the history of
Writer's notes.
Yeah, writer's notes as to why she chose those lyrics and why we chose those graphics and what they all represent. But I guess if you knew them all, you wouldn't need to click on them. And if you don't know them all, I'm not sure that a quick explanation is going to get that done. But
they're a teaser for the books.
But they are a teaser for the books, and they are.
We can remaster them as director's cuts. We can remaster them as director's cuts.
We could remaster
lay it
them
down
as
in the
a
corners.
director's cut.
Yep.
Yes. I absolutely love it. Sing boldly, and boldly is it's not just sing, and Yahowah does want us to sing to him and about his son, and his son was, of course, Yahowah's favorite songwriter, although that may not be true anymore. It may be Leia as Ruth and the Amma that is becoming his favorite songwriter. Certainly, Doe's going to pay a lot of respect to what Leia is doing at this point. But we'll have a sing-off between the two of them, I'm sure. All for fun. All those with the courage to vote. All those with the courage to vote for Leia over King Doe.
No.
Over here to the side.
That's fine. I think we're better as a duo. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll see.
A lot of people don't know is that Leia writes these songs off the cuff while she's working with Suno. She sets up her concept, and so these lyrics are coming out while she's creating the song.
Yes.
That's why Perry's having problems. Where's the lyrics? She
what lyrics?
off the cuff. So it's, and the symbolism and the videos that.
I mean, you're literally writing the lyrics as the song is forming.
Yes. If it doesn't flow right, I go back and change everything.
Okay,
yes.
but you start with lyrics.
Start with an idea, yeah.
Well, an idea with full lyrics.
I start with an idea, yes.
Oh, a full idea. And so you're writing these songs the old-fashioned way. You start with an idea of the melody and the genre you want and the instrumentation that you want, and with a theme, and you're writing the lyrics as the music is sort of flowing.
Sometimes, yeah.
She knows her Torah.
Yeah.
She knows her Torah.
She's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Amma and Matt, and I must say that was chazak, and that was quite touching. That struck a chord and a nerve. It's kind of beyond words and kind of leaves one speechless when you have a bit of knowledge about and understanding about what it's all about.
Yeah, the speak boldly, which you mentioned, Shazak. This is Yahweh's way.
Wow.
He does not want modest. He does not want meek.
Or humble.
Yahweh's looking for bold. And if you can't do bold, then, you really can't be part of the program. He's only interested in bold. And so sing boldly.
Only bold will stand up to my people. You don't know them.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I liked about the song is that it's really in their face. She said, I planted the garden and I harvested the fruit and I gave it to you. And while I did that, you did nothing except antagonize him and erase his name. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's spectacular. All right, what things I want to do here before we go into the text of today's program, which will be a continuation of the Luminaries, is that if we can bring up the website, I think we have a program that's all set to be able to do that. And there we go. And we still have the full cast of characters. I'm going to have a mouse here in just a moment. There we go. All right, so I want to do a little walkthrough for the family of this website. And this is Yahowah.com. You can get to it by Yahowah.com or Yahowah.com. It starts with, we have just begun with within the last month, a new logo, which has Yahowah's name in a very contemporary, bold font. It's designed to look like it's a knife edge to tie in with the whole concept of Towrah and of God being set apart. You're on one side of the divide or another. And so we wanted something that was as hard as steel and having a cutting edge, and then to put that modern menorah, his symbol, in the middle of it. And as you can look, this is now the homepage. And we began, of course, where we began now 25 years ago, with the series of books. You can see this is the Goddamn Religion series. It starts with an introduction to God. And any place along here that you want, and the top introduces the category, so it explains what the category will reveal should you choose to start in any one of these places. So it's the first time we've actually had text that explains what you'll find in these categories. And that one, Coming Home, is soon to have 2 more books as part of it. And here's the Babel series, but a very effective explanation of what's in each of these. Here's Twistianity, that disproves the Christian New Testament and the very existence of someone named Jesus Christ. And this, the Goddamn Religion series, demonstrates emphatically that there was no God named Allah, and that Muhammad was not a prophet. So we start with the books because the books are important to us. And then we have the large screen here. And while this says the basics, I think if the page was refreshed at this point, we would actually find that right now, this would be playing this live stream. So the live stream is current on the homepage. And the only reason we're not seeing it now, we haven't refreshed the page. And with the tool that I'm using, I don't have that capacity at the moment. But that's what this is doing. And what I think I would do next is right underneath the books, I would have the 3 or 4 favorite songs that would be permanently placed there. And then this is our last podcast, and during a live stream, it will actually show the live stream. What we're working to do here that we'll have probably within a week's time is that if you wanted to watch the live stream of any show, you can do it at yahowah.com. You're still showing credit for having been at YouTube. This is pulling it from YouTube Blue. And so it still shows the time watched there. What we're trying to do is to see if we can incorporate the comments so that the comments have a legacy right here on the site as people were watching it and we're talking about it and answering one another. So that's the next contribution to that particular page. And this shows some of the last videos that were posted on various places around the country. We are around the web, and we have then some of the favorite and more recent shorts here as well. These are Kevin's shorts. So that is the homepage. You go all the way down to the homepage, and you'll see there's also links. Like we removed me from the top of the homepage, but this would be my background and a way to communicate directly. And there are other resources here and things that like the events of October 7th in Israel. This is the 10/7 memorial. You can click on that and you will see everyone who lost their life, and that's a tribute page to them. So many things here. And you also notice that if you go down to a long page like this one, there's always an up arrow there that just takes you back to the top of the page. So if you click on the first thing on the header, it obviously takes you to the books. Now, the books, and we're going to go through each of these, but every one of these books, you click on the books, it opens to what we call a page turner book, and you can read through them at your leisure. You start with the table of contents. You can go directly to any chapter here by just clicking on the chapter, and it'll take you to a new chapter. Remember where you were the last time you were reading one of these books. So if you've been reading a book, the next time you go into it, it will say, would you like to resume where you were last? Now, we know that under searching this under Rich's site, we know Rich hasn't been reading this book recently because it didn't say, would you like to return to where you were, Rich? But it can do that as well. And then we have all sorts of tools down here. And one of the things we've been able to do is you can copy and paste anything out of these books onto a Word document or any other kind of document, because we've released the text to be able to do that. You can change the text size, change the way that it's manifest on the screen. You can bookmark it, you can print it, you can go forward and back, but all sorts of tools for each of these books that is presented here. And you can click on the logo. It takes you back to the home page. And also on the books, which you'll notice is the search engine. You can choose to write in like 3 or 4 words here for a phrase where it'll search each word individually or only if it appears in the phrase. You can have it, you can choose the series that it searches for that in. Like you can say, I want to know about Shabbat from the volume on years. And you can choose it to do that, or you can have it be all volumes. So it's a really nice search engine. It's a much more effective search engine. It gives you much more control than anything we've had previously. But as you can see here, we have all 9 volumes, including the most recent volume of Yisra'el. The reason we have 3 logos or 3 icons down here, and you can see they turn blue when you go over them, is this would be the page turner book. So the 3-dimensional format, which I think works really well on phones, and it works really well if you want the effect of actually holding and reading a printed book. And then if you want a PDF of it, which a lot of people just like, just give me the flat PDF and I can read it on my computer or a tablet or a phone, that'll present the PDF of the book. And this will take you to the bookseller. Amazon prints all of our books. it'll take you specifically to Amazon. And if you prefer to, hold the book, this is Time of Trouble. If you want what I have here, and you want the 825 page book, well, you click that, and it'll take you directly to Amazon for you to be able to buy it. So it's really quite an impressive thing. And here's the 5 volumes of observations. You can see they've all been remastered with the new logos. They all have new cover art for them. They're really beautiful in the way they're presented. Here's the 5 volumes of Twistianity. And you'll notice everything here is free in its entirety. There's no teasers here. You want to read goddamn religion? There's 4,200 pages of analysis. This is the first time that the Quran has been ordered chronologically, set into the context of Muhammad's life, and documented using only the oldest Islamic sources as sources of information. So this is something that cannot be, there's nothing in goddamn religion that can be refuted. Because if a Muslim were to try to critique or rebuke anything that I have said, they have to annul their own scriptures, because the book's based entirely on these oldest Islamic sources. And I've just put them together so that the Hadith explain the Quran. The same thing really is true with Christianity. I began by analyzing Paul's letters, and then we went to much of the Christian New Testament, from the most ancient documents to how they were changed over time, to just annulling Paul's words, presenting this is what Paul said, this is what God said. We'll put them side by side. You choose who's right, because they both can't be right. And then you come down to here. We have a lot of people that wanted to know our past, how we came to this position. So that's the book and the company. And again, we go next to a vlog. This is the place where we have made the biggest additions. If you look here, every one of these is a category. So if you want to know about the Antichrist, which is Donald Trump, there it is. And you can choose the category, and it'll take you directly to it. Chakma Chodar was one of the large series we did. Every show on Chakma Chodar is presented in chronological order all the way through. And then you come to Coming Home, and this was an early series we did, a really important series called Dode Song on the 89th Mizmor. Every episode. And what we've done here is what you can't do on social media. There is no social media account that enables you to organize your videos. You can put together a playlist, but that's the best you can do. And YouTube and the like, they all choose how they order things or how they choose not to order things. It's just a cluster of whatever it drives their algorithm, but it isn't the way that intelligently you'd want to cover a subject. Like here's Dode's fulfillment. The final word picture was transformative for us. That was a very recent addition. And, you can click on any one of these. And the nice thing is they don't take you out of off this webpage. And yet this is playing on YouTube. So the YouTube minutes all count. It's all playing on YouTube. And yet it is all while you're here on the website. And, here I made a comment on this. And that comment is always available there. And it also would be presented in our chat capability. So anyone can add a comment. Like we wanted to add a comment now. I don't have a keyboard here, but you'd add a comment and you could agree or disagree with me, or say, I liked it X minute of this video. You brought up this point, or I have a question about such and such. This is the best way for us to communicate and to share our thinking and insights. You may just want to say, I agree with the point you made on such and such. Yep. Look at there. There's the Wookiee. He's working it. So it's amazing to be able to do that, because YouTube has the data storage capability and the streaming capability to present and stream these videos that if we tried to do it ourselves, it would just be, unbelievable fortune and cost. And yet that's how their model works. And so we just figured out a way to be able to present our videos on YouTube, but you get to stay on our site and comment on our site. This Gateway to the Holocaust was a series that we did to expose and condemn the two worst episodes in Islam during Muhammad's life, one being his deadly massacre of the Jews in Yathrib, and then again the same thing, but even worse in Kabar. And so I presented both of those series. Gabor is an essential aspect of our king's nature and of what God wants from us. In the Garden was a series where we talked about what happened in the Garden. That's so important. These were the letters that I wrote, open letters to Israel about how you should have responded to 10:7. And here's the current series we're doing on the Ocean Studio called. Well, actually, this is Messiah and Son. This is one that actually preceded it. This is the one we're doing in the Ocean Studio right now. Messiah, it's been a real eye-opener for us. We've just finished the 17th episode, but they appear here the moment they're done. Muhammad's Criminal Enterprise was the 6-part series that we did on the first terrorist raid of Muhammad at Badr. It's a real eye-opener into the nature of that religion. The Katsir Harvest was one of the longest series we did. And if you see a Shabbat family hour in it, that means that we devoted that family hour to this series, which is why it's listed in the midst of all of these. But look at all of the shows we did on Katsir Harvest. These are the times that Yahowah brings his people home. What's 81 of them, but all here organized for you. This series is returning to the Garden because that's where God is bringing us back. He's coming full circle with us so that we have the chance to return and demonstrate that we, in fact, were worth the investment, that we can be trusted, that we can learn, we can listen, we can respond appropriately, we can engage and contribute to the relationship, and that when we stumble and fall or make a mistake, we can learn from it. That's what God is looking for us. This is a series of the Shabbat Family Hour presented, and Solving Puzzles was one of the more interesting series we did. Another one here on the Sukkah, Camping Out with God in the End. And look at Appalling Christianity as we explain why the Christian New Testament is rubbish. Every one of these shows in and of itself destroys the entire nature of the Christian New Testament, and it's just one after another, where we really tear into Christianity. 60 episodes in that series, and we've done another series on the Mother Goddess cult, which is something we exposed in a program here yesterday. But pretty darn amazing how many things there are, and every one of these things you can comment on, you can play live right here on, and not even leave the site, and you can go directly to them through this sub-menu. What we tried to do also is that because every venue in social media has a purpose, Facebook and X, for example, are quite good at presenting a blog, which would be, you see an image, might be a short video, and people comment on them and they distribute them to convey a message. Well, what I'm doing is I'm taking a feed from one of those social media sites and I'm adding an introduction to it. So I am saying here that, here's the incredible shrinking MAGA, and it's the article was presented such that it says that that MAGA is melting down to its core, and so I shared that and what it actually means to us. This Kash Patel has been accused of being an alcoholic, and that he is now has a letter where he admits that he was so drunk that he was arrested for peeing in public. And now, so what I have here is, yikes, a pooper and a peer. You've got Trump that poops in his pants, and his head of the FBI that's peeing on sidewalks. it's quite a place we've fallen. But here is another example of something where you have the poper as opposed to the pooper, and look at this disgusting thing he has here. It's not only a dead God on a stick, but it's contorted and perverted, tortured God on a stick. And I said, so he's talking about how inappropriate it is to be perverted, and I say, and yet he tortures his pet God on his perverted crucifix. And then you can click on a comment and religious pervert with a dead God on a stick. You can like that, you can dislike it, you can add to it, you can add your own comment, but it's a very interactive blog now where you can make the comments and stay on our page. Previously had to go to Facebook to make the comment. You don't anymore. Just click comments and you are good to go and say whatever it is that you wish to do. And commenting on the news is important for us. It's very important that we're informed and that we comment on political lies, religious lies, the world wars, economies, all those things that play into the prophecies of describing the politics and economics and wars and religions of our time. So this is designed to keep us current. We have a whole series called Basics. That series leads off with 8 programs on Yahowah's name. And here they present appropriately in order. We did a series on the spring Moedim. And then we began a series, which we finished today, on Shabbat. There's a lot to say about Shabbat. And we're going to be, adding to the series on the Luminaries, and we will continue to do that going forward. In fact, I think this actually is the Shabbat show that we're doing right now. It is showing up already under Luminaries. It's just not categorized yet, but that's our current show. And our goal is to get all of these things in their proper slots, and they will be there shortly. And of course, you can do exactly the same thing with all of these. You can comment on them, and your comments will be retained for the next person that looks. This is my favorite part of the site. You see this as I'm surfing under Rich's name here. We have just changed this so that, yes, it comes up in topics, and no matter what topic you choose, here is Luminaries. This is coming home. And so I decided, all right, I have presented the chapter 1 and chapter 2 so far of Coming Home 2. I've written, I don't know, about 16, 17, 1,800 pages for Coming Home 4, which will be broken to Coming Home 4 and 5. I've started begin at the beginning, and I think I'm 10 chapters into it in the beginning. I've shared 2 of them, but you can click on this and it brings up a Word document of that first chapter, everything properly formatted. But this chat has been so well done, it will do what you can't do on either Facebook or X. But this is chapter 2 of volume 4 of Luminaries, and it's presented properly formatted. Here the bold, the italics, the amplified explanation, and then the commentary. In fact, this is where we are today. We're going to be pursuing this very text in this program. And
yeah, this is by far my favorite tool. For you to be able to do this and to have everybody to have access to the newest material as quickly as possible is huge, especially for the transcripts team. But for folks that want to follow along on their own, absolutely.
Yes.
This is
and keeps
by
you
far
current.
my favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite. And it's under books, and the heading you can see here is books. So you can search everything that's on the book heading. But I'm presenting every chapter, and I'm going to add a chapter every day, both as a link where you can click it and own it. That by own it, you're paying your standard royalty to me, which is 1 cent minus a penny. Free. So you can own it just by clicking on this, or you can read it right here on the site. It's just really what a marvelous addition this is for those who want to stay current. I mean, that's an entire chapter. And then as you go, let's see if this will work. If I want to go, here, this will take us back to the top of the page. And we then go back to books, for example. I'll go back to topics. If you see this next one here, that was chapter 1 of this same book. And I'll put in tomorrow morning, chapter 3, and then on Sunday, chapter 4. And we'll just keep on adding. So if you want to stay current with us, you're going to be able to do so through the book tab. So there is the book tab. And if you want to just look at announcements, there are all the announcements that we have made. There is a Towrah tab for Towrah studies. You've got a tab on the shows that we have done. So, and then you can just look here and say, okay, I want everything. And this is all categorization. And over here, it's kind of fun. This counter, it turns color and the pencil goes the opposite way if you've made a comment on this. And if you have viewed it, this eye turns dark as opposed to light. And if you have liked something in this, your heart turns red as opposed to showing up as hollow. You can see Rich has a lot of hollow hearts here and a lot of unread pencils.
Rich,
but he's busy doing other stuff. If you looked at mine, 90%, maybe 95% have filled in hearts, have views. But the nice thing is, if I look down here and I see an unviewed, I can click on that and it'll take me to it. And I can say, oh, well, why didn't I comment on that? So it keeps track of everything that you have done in addition to what the overall response has been. And, anything that you do is continuing to keep people informed. This is there's a note on what we've done. Like, for example, we were asked to have notifications. And on notifications, you can turn them on or off. And you can, every time you go in, you can show them or not show them. This show deletions is only if you're an admin, but you can turn that on or not to see if there's something that's been deleted. But, here, if you want your email to send you a note, and the email note here is better than anything I ever saw on social media, because on social media, it's a teaser for you to go to their site. So what they do is they say, Rich sent you a response. And they don't tell you what the response is, and they don't tell you what he was responding to. So you've got to go to the site and then hunt for it. Here, if you look at the email that you're sent, the email says it was Rich that sent you a response. He was responding to this post, and this is what he said. And if you want to go to that to respond to him, click this, and it'll take you directly to it. It is just so much better than any other social media site. So this then is anything that you have that has been commented on. It will show you what was the text that was commented on, what was said in that, how many people have viewed it, how many people have responded to it. Then on the vlog, we have the vlog comments separate, so that if you're watching a vlog program, here you can come here and you can see what did other people have to say about it, or do you want to contribute to it? And while you're open in the comments there, it will actually play that particular vlog. So all at the same time. And this is for the blog, which is news related. The reason it only has 3 things up is that it was introduced today. We just came up with a way to be able to do this today. So it keeps, it replicates what's available at Facebook and X, and I think does a better job of it. Well, the vlog replicates what you would see on Facebook. And if you're interested in who is a member and you want to communicate with any of these people, here's the list of members. I think we have somewhere around 95 currently, which is surprising, because these are people that have come here and have taken the time to sign up and are communicating with other people. An entirely different number of people who are viewing the site, but this is a member-driven site. We're here to educate and help members. I'm not going to press messages because that would be something that would be private only to the person who is signed in, and you can log out if you wish to, and then you go back to topics. I think it's just a spectacular interactive tool. JB, you go back to the day where you were the administrator of the forum. Can you imagine having something that was this multi-layered and graphic, and it had so much available?
It's definitely an enhancement. It's nice.
It is really nice. And you can pick your topics. And one of the advantage, too, is if you go by topics, is that rather than opening up a new topic, you can search to see, did somebody already open a topic like that? And what did they have to say when they did it? So you can contribute to an open topic, like on the fall of man. This is the new channel, which is the channel that does the children's programs. So it's they're all beautifully categorized. It's one of my favorite parts. In fact, it is my favorite part of the site. It's what we've worked so hard, and I didn't think anybody would be able to do it, where you could take a website, and on a website you could replicate a Facebook instant messenger. You could represent the Facebook blog and the X blog, the YouTube vlogs with their videos, and that you'd have it all here for the family. This is the translations. We've seen this before. You can take every single book that we have done. I don't know what, it's something that with our interface here, but this will actually enable you to click down. There's a menu of every single book, every chapter of every book that we've translated, and it will present them like this, that tells you what book it came from, and every variation of that's Genesis 1:1, Genesis 1:2. They're all here. And if you were to click this, it would take you to the page turner book in the page that you would find that translation, so you could read all the commentary and the insights regarding it. So truly amazing what it will do. And then this is Kirk's glossary. It presents itself in alphabetical order in the Hebrew alphabet using the ancient letters, and it will tell you, this is the transliteration of it, the ancient Hebrew, modern Hebrew, Strong's number, what part of the grammar it is, and what the definition of the word is. Ab, father, is the first of those. And so every letter in the Hebrew alphabet, there it is. Pretty amazing for a glossary. And this is a marvelous tool here. This is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you can choose the book that you want to view, and you can choose, I just want to include something that was missing. I just want to include something that is different. I want to include everything that was a spelling issue, something that was partial. This will take you and will show you exactly the differences between the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Masoretic text, and does it even in a color coordinated way, so you can know that the was different, and the ets is missing in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So again, like, it's a meal offering that differs than what's in the Masoretic text. And then over here you have the actual, and it shows you preserved. So this would be something that was preserved in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and you can mouse over it, and it tells you what the word means. If you don't read Hebrew, you know what the word means.
Wow.
So just nothing ever been anywhere close to this comprehensive, and being able to present the Dead Sea Scrolls. So marvelous. And we can add over here, we could add our grammar if we put it on this page. I think the timeline has become marvelous. We have 4 counters on it. The time of Israel's troubles begins in 27 days and 17 hours. Once we pass it, that will be a count up timer because it lasts for 7 years. Then you have when is the Shabbat harvest? So that's 411 days from now. When is the end of the time of Israel's troubles is presented next. And then when Yahweh and Dod return. And you come down here and every one of these images has an explanation. I mean, they're beautiful graphics. Most of them are original. Like here's an original graphic of the first prophecy. And it's the prophecy that is of the luminaries, the greater and lesser luminaries. This is all original art, at least where we were able to do it. This is Adam conceived in Yahweh's image. And we learn that Adam is actually the soul of Dod. And finally, the exile from the garden. And this was written based upon something that Mike Beati noticed about time. You have a choice, and this explains the choice that you make when trying to deal with the dates that are in the Masoretic text. There's a 50-year question one way or the other as to how you account for that 50 years. Enoch is, boy, is that an amazing story. And actually, there are 2 Enochs, and that's what I'm working on right now is to link the 2 Enochs together. The story of Noah, the story of the ark, when Yishak is born to Sarah, the fulfillment of the covenant, or narrative of the covenant when Yahweh presents the lamb on Mount Moriah. The story of Joseph being sold into slavery. Pharaoh begins to enslave the Yisraelites. That handsome fellow right there, that is actually the Pope of the Exodus. That's the real McKilligutty right there. That is his ugliness and as a mummy. Obviously, a bodily resurrection did not work well for him, and he did not age very well. But that's Pharaoh's Tutmos III, and he is the Pharaoh of the Exodus. His eldest son was indeed killed. This has Moshe returning to Egypt, the route of the Exodus, the information about Mount Towrah, and then this has Dod and his birth in Bethlehem, his anointing. He becomes king, and when he went astray when he pursues Bathsheba. I mean, these are the cornerstone stories along the time. And this is when Solomon, as king, completes the temple and tells the prophecy of the Nachri. So you go down. This is the Mishneh stele that actually speaks of Yahweh and the house of Dod. And it's just marvelous presentation, visual history of God's story from the beginning of end. So I'm really pleased with the fact we've been able to do this timeline. And you go to media. These are the various media sites. If there's something that you're managing for us that has Yahowah as its prime subject, we will add it to this. Just send an instant message to me or to anyone else. We're all retrievable through the members, and these are our various sites. And then this is a presentation of the invites, which they call promos. It's something we're shifting from Facebook. They are currently on Facebook, but they don't play very well on Facebook. Too many restrictions. And so we are shifting them, Perry is doing that now, to a red channel of Yahowah, which we're using really to stage all of these now. And so you'll be able to click on all of them and it will play that particular video for you. So and these things are really beautiful, these invitations that they have written. And we even have the Do Yahowah, which are beautiful visuals that I think Mariah created the majority of those. My favorite tab is this one. I listened to, I would say 16 or 17 songs. I made a comment on most of them. And so you can see the various comments that I've made. They play right here, and you can share an insight. You see something that's part of this site that you think is visually interesting or a clue, and you want to share it, by all means. I think this is our most important outreach here is the music. And for those that know that we shut down Ask Yada for a while because it was abused, well, it's back up. And so you can ask Yada. I asked her a couple of questions today. Joe asked one yesterday. The answers were, spot on. Just if you had sent me an email and asked me to do it, I don't think I would have written it any differently than the AI did, and it came up, almost instantly. The only thing we're going to do, we've done a couple of things to improve the Ask Yada experience. It is only available to members. So Rich is signed in. He's a member. He can ask away anything that Rich asks here. He could say, "Is Rich the most handsome of them all?" And Ask Yada is going to do the best it can to answer that question. And Perry is the one who's been managing the questions and answers and been posting some of the sample Q&As here. But now we have in the administration tool the ability to review every one of the AI's answers and rate the AI's answers on a 1 to 100 scale, and then comment on what they did right and wrong. And then if the answer they gave is terrible, we can say, this is the answer you should have given. So Perry is going to be the taskmaster of the AI here, but it's live again. All you have to do is be signed in as a member, and you can ask away. And I would tell you that the things that I have seen recently are really, really good. So there we go. What do you all think?
Wow.
Love it.
Amazing.
Joe's
Yeah.
done a fantastic job.
Yeah, that Dead Sea in the translation section, that Dead Sea Scroll section, that got by me, and I'm actually excited tomorrow to go and start playing around on it and pulling up the Dead Sea Scrolls and analyzing things from that perspective.
Yeah, there's things that are embedded. We one time we had every one of the pages and the functionality up here at the top, but if you do that, it won't work on a phone anymore. And we could fill this entire format, but everything we do has to work on a cell phone because most people initially view a site on a cell phone and it has to look organized and appropriate. So it's only so much we can put up there. So there are things like media. You have to click on media to know that there's invites and Do Yahowah are embedded underneath it. Or if you click on translations, you'll find that the glossary and the Dead Sea Scrolls are embedded underneath it. So there are a fair number of things now that are embedded underneath things. And on chats, we have chats on topics, direct messages, getting to know who the members are, the comments on the blog, comments on the vlog, and just overall comments like on music or anything else on the site. So there are sub-menus under things that are pretty intuitive, but the site is really robust. I don't think there's a better website anywhere than what we have done here for the purpose of developing and educating God's family.
Craig and family.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Excuse me. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead,
No,
please.
go ahead. You were first. Go ahead.
Jeff, you go first, and then Kevin.
I was going to say that what's spectacular and amazing is that the prophets have spoken through Yah, knowing that you would be successful at this moment in time to achieve this at this stage. So this is over 2,700 years old.
Think about what had to happen to do this. We not only had to have the content of 35 books, 25,000 pages, that we were comfortable exposing to the world for free and could afford to expose to the world for free. And that God would have to convince us that it was appropriate now to go and do a video vlog, because that's the way people want to see and learn online, and that we would create a video vlog to make the website contemporary and timely, and that we would understand the importance of the Dead Sea Scrolls and could incorporate them in and have just direct access to our translations, and to have all of these things, and to be like the Shattering Myths experience, where we became developed expertise on explaining the news, on what's really happening, and have it years and years of experience doing syndicated radio on the news. But it's beyond all of that. Then I had to fall in love with and marry for, I don't know, I think it's the 7th or 8th time, Leah, who's, looking pretty good for being 6,000 years old, because the branding here, the beauty of the presentation, that's Leah. She was the one that came up with the idea of repositioning all these books in this format. And so this is very much Leah's design, and it is, absolutely beautiful the way things are presented here. It's just so elegant. And then you'd have to have that. Who would have thought that 35 years ago that a man named Joe Page would come into my life, and that we would develop what was at the time a vastly superior retail experience to what even Amazon has now, and develop a whole economic e-commerce engine from scratch, and that we would develop that together. And then when the time comes, Joe would be available again after, a 35-year relationship where we're best buds, and he and I would work together to create this site. And to have all of that just come together, and then have like when Rich came here, so we'd have a far more professional sound and audio and programming, so that the programs were not so flat and sterile, so they're interesting. I mean, that had to happen as well. And then we had to have a Kevin. You had to have a Kevin. Kevin is the guy quietly behind the scenes that makes so much of this happen. So I want to tell you this: there's a lot of stuff that had to fall into place, or was orchestrated, take your pick, by Yahowah, for him to have endorsed Yahowah 2,700 to 3,000 years ago. There was problems.
The last thing I want to say, Craig, before give Will the platform, is that when you go back to Breshit 1:14, looking at the words, the letters of your name, and I would have our buddy Captain Kirk verify this. Yud, Aleph, Dalet, Aleph. Your mission is defined throughout the Torah and the prophets. Yeah. If you look at what those letters mean, the symbolism, and just that, Breshit 1:14, and take, for example, Mashal 30:14, and there are so many more. But your mission is defined by those letters.
Yeah, opening the door for the observant, opening the door to see. That is what Yada means. It means to open the door. It's the hand coming down and out with the door, and then the eye. It means to open the door to see.
Your first and foremost, and your Gadolim, just the whole litany of it. It's just quite stunning.
Kirk, you joined me when back in the days. I don't even know if I'd started. I don't think I'd even started Shattering Myths at the time we first came together. But I was doing talk radio interviews. I think I did 10,000 of them all total, and that's how we met. But Could you imagine having gone from that to this?
No. I expect big things. I know we do it because I know who you are and what you're doing. And I'm amazed at the progress we made. But this is, I'm just sitting here, I'm stunned. There's so many toys to play with, I may never be able to sleep again.
Yeah, and
I need to sleep again.
Yeah, and it's one thing to have a robust capacity to convey enormous amount of information in an organized format, which is what this does better than anything. But it's also artistically beautiful.
Oh, indeed.
And it's one of the things that I'm most pleased with is I wanted this home for Yahowah's name to be beautiful. And it is. It's beautiful.
Well, I tell you, you have to hand it to Leah as well. I mean, gosh, you see her fingerprint everywhere. It's just beautiful.
It is.
That's
It is. That's one of the reasons why I get so frustrated when she had that group of mean-spirited women that decided they would attack her and demean her. And you're saying, "Oh, come on! Do you have any idea who you're dealing with here, or what this woman's relationship is to Yahowah? Forget about the fact that of our relationship. Think about her relationship to Yahowah.
Yeah.
And you're going to screw with that? And you're going to demean her? You think that didn't work out well for Miriam? How do you think it's going to work out for you?"
Yeah.
Was it Will that you were in the midst of saying something? And
Yeah. Was there any thought given? I didn't notice a section for testimonials, but, this is, and I know a number of people did them. The thought of it encourages me to get mine done. But, we're leaving a legacy here. People are going to go to this site and everybody wants their products reviewed these days. They all want testimonials because they're very powerful. If you could have it, maybe a section with that. I don't know if that was talked about.
I'll talk to Joe about it now or tomorrow morning. There are 3 or 4 of them that appear now on the site, but they're not organized in that fashion. And
right.
When I read the testimonials, what I read is me, and everybody is like me. All of us.
Yeah.
I really have a very similar story. We all came here in a very similar path, but the fact that path is reaffirmed. So many different ways and so many interesting lives is what I think makes the story so appealing and so affirming. And I don't mean to say that everybody's story is the same as mine, but we all have searched. We all at one time were either political or religious. We all chose to reject religion and politics for a reason. And then we were all found ourselves with God introducing himself to us one way or another.
Yeah.
And,
I think we're all relatable.
I read one today from somebody that has been posting all over the site and adding really astute comments. I didn't know the person from Adam. I hadn't seen the name before, didn't recognize the name. And then I stumbled upon a testimonial. He explained when he was in college how he pursued various things, and that one day he heard me talk about Prophet of Doom, and he says, I wanted to know who God was, and boy, this guy surely knew who God was not. And he said, I never heard anybody speak, that forthrightly about who God is not. And he said, so, I read Prophet of Doom, and boy, I was, from that point, I went and I started reading Yahowah, and all of a sudden I knew who God was and who he wasn't, and that's why I'm here. It's so wonderful to hear these stories. So what we need to do is on the chat page, we need to have a one of 2 things that we could do it. The way that I think would be actually the most interesting is right here. Yeah. If everybody that wanted to write a testimonial, it showed up as an item that you could click. Or it's something else that we added to here, so that you had, after comments, you have testimonial is a pretty long word for us to put up there. We'll come up with something, but it could be up here, and it could be also positioned here.
We'll just make it a topic.
Why I'm here.
I'll just start a topic, and I will cut and paste mine off the Yahowah group, the video testimonials we did off the Yahowah group webpage.
Yes.
And I'll just copy and paste it in there, and then everybody else can do the same thing. That way we're not hosting them on the site. They're still on the Yahowah group.
Oh, that's a lovely way to do it. Yeah, those were really
if somebody
good.
Wants to write it down, if somebody wants to write it down, they can do a blog entry under the same topic, you know?
Yeah, why don't you do this, if you wouldn't mind, Kevin, is come up with in fact, this would be the easiest place to add it right here. So we'd have testimonials right here.
Okay.
So we'll put in a testimonial tab, and we'll add that tomorrow. And if you could bring yours over and then post and say, this is how I did it. I went to here where we had it posted, and this is the way that I was able to link to it.
Okay.
All right.
I can do that. Yeah. I can
That'd
even
be
do a little like
spectacular.
short tutorial thing or something.
Yeah. And that is what we're looking for. In fact, most of the additions that we have made, Joe and I spend about an hour or so on the phone every day going through each of the things that you see, plus the things you don't see, which are in the admin tool, and how we're able to do this. And I read what everybody says, this is what I would like. And those things I think we can reasonably accommodate. That's what we're adding. So I think testimonials is important. We'll do that. And the testimonial can be the audio testimonials that were presented on the Yahowah group site on Facebook, and they can also be a written testimonial. People have done both. Yeah, we'll encourage that, I think, because I think it's important for others to see how they got there. And if something somebody has experienced resonates with another that's in the decision process, then they can ask questions and comment on it.
That's right.
Pretty spectacular. So we will continue to improve this, and I'm going to give you your mouse back, and we can go to the regular show. But I can tell you, you can say I'm thrilled with this. I just think it's the culmination of a quarter century of effort, beautifully presented, useful, elegant. There are times when you accomplish something for Yahowah, you say, God, that's good, isn't it? It really is. I can see why you endorsed this. This is really good, what we have been able to accomplish together. And we were only be able to do it because we worked together, and because, we made mistakes and learned from them. We tripped and fall and got back up. We shed a team that God says, this is not the right team for you. And we developed a whole new team. And this is the result.
I don't want to discount the amount of content that this site required to go together as well. So, I mean, that is directly to you. That's talent, okay? We talked about this a long time ago. Everybody has their place. Your talent. You sit behind the microphone, and none of this works if you're not there behind the microphone, looking at the camera, doing what you do. And the amount of, sometimes 5-6 hours a day behind the camera, 3 hours of radio, 5 days a week kind of was your cutting ground for it, but to be able to do that, most YouTubers cannot just consistently roll out content the way that we do, the way that you do, because we're all just following behind, and trying to pick up the pieces and make shorts and then do music videos and all this other thing, behind it. But the fact that you can sit there and you can crank out this kind of content day after day after day. And we even had, hey, you need to take a day off and maybe 2 days off because this is turning into a marathon for us, where we've got that understanding. That is definitely what brought this together, was just the absolute amount, quality and quantity of content for the site to be able to be what it is.
I appreciate you saying that, Kevin, and it's the conversation that I had with about 17, 18 months ago now, where I had written 35 books up to that point, and we'd had a transition out with the old and with the new, and I was really receptive to. I'm always receptive to what God wants. That's it's my job, is to be receptive to what God wants, and to deliver what He's asking for. And we had this lovely conversation. probably our best paced conversation ever, because normally he's yanking my chain. He's I mean that in a fun sort of way. He loves to be sarcastic. It's the reason that he liked Elia. He's a lot like Elia in our conversations. And in this one, he just said, it's time that you talk directly to my people. I want you to get cameras. I want you to learn to vlog. He says, I know you've never posted a word on social media in your whole life. Not a word. But I want you to vlog. You can do it. And I want you to create this logo, which is that spinning menorah that's behind us here, and get the cameras and put the books in the backdrop. But his message to me, he says, you are the books. You've spent 25 years writing those books. You are the books, and you are this resource. I've been working with you for a very long time to develop you into this resource that can look my people in the eye and speak with great confidence and share insights that no one has pondered for the last 3,000 years. Yeah. And that's really it. As Rich knows, I'll be, my passion is to translate and comment, and I'm doing that most of my time now. I'm no longer having to futz with social media, so I've given up the burden of social media. Boy, what a relief that is. And I am, I begin my day at like 5:30, and I'll start working on translations and understanding. I'm adding to the books that, this series on Luminaries is the book I'm writing. So we're covering it fresh right out of what we're learning. And it keeps our knowledge current and fresh, and we're constantly building on it. But, there is a very unique situation where Rich will say, okay, let's going to do a show before the show. Which one do you want to do? Which studio you want to go in? I said, let's see. I think we can finish Shabbat. Let's get Shabbat done, and then we can focus on Luminaries tonight, and we'll do Luminaries there going forward. And he says, this last week you did an average of about 4 hours a day, and sometimes more. Every day this week. Maybe you just want to take a break and just do the family hour tonight. And I said, nah, I don't think so. Let's get it done. And you just literally come in, you sit down. I've got buttons here with all the lights go on with a single button. Right. He has the live stream up, and I said, let's go live. And that's our rehearsal. Later. That's our rehearsal. We sit down and we start talking to folks. Yeah. And on a program like this, I do have a.
Wookie gets his tea. That's what happens. First.
Yeah. Well, yes, it is. We do have an order and priority of things. Wookie likes his tea, and so we start with Wookie's tea, and he jumps up in the chair like he's going to do the show, and then when I say, okay, Wookie, in your position, then he jumps from the chair onto the table, and we just go.
Yep. He knows it's showtime.
Yeah. And I will tell you, while this chair is certainly comfortable, because this program, I actually have a visual of what the audience is seeing. So it's nice to do a live stream where you actually get to see what the audience is seeing. But that Ocean studio, that is so raw. It's totally vulnerable. You're out there with all the elements. And, you know that this is live. There are no cuts. There are no edits. You just sat down in a chair and turned on the camera, and here's what you get. And, oh, by the way, we're not broadcasting out of grandma's basement. I'm not doing this because I need the dough. Right. We're not trying to be popular here. We're not trying to be an influencer. Yah's taking good care of his choder. And here we are overlooking the ocean, and turn on the lights. Let's go. So it's an amazing experience. And, we've got upwards of 1,000 of these vlogs.
Yeah.
Yada after 54, Yada after 5,400 years, Hanuk, you are and remain indefatigable, relentless, uncompromising, and Hazak / Gabor. That's just the modus operandi, and it's
nothing really to do with me other than, after a number of people were born, and I actually think there's that the two Chinuks are the same Chinook. That's what I'm trying to prove now. that Cain's Chinook, the whole episode of how Cain would deliver this Chinook and why no one could, Cain deserved to be clocked by the locals, and yet said, no, you're going to receive 7 times the punishment if you harm him in any way. And the next thing you hear is that Chinook is, Cain is delivering Chinook, and what he does, and the legacy of his sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters. I actually think that it's likely that that was the first, and then the second is just God's going to make a real point here. I'm taking him because this is my guy, and I want you to know that I'm taking him as my guy because I'm going to take one more as my guy, so you know what kind of guy I like. And you're going to see where I'm going to deploy him again. And it's a really an interesting thing. So what it does is it says when you take the 3 guys that God's going to build his story around, they all have very similar personalities. They're aggressive, they're vocal, they're confident, and they never give up. And I think that's what God saw. He says, I've got this guy's bullish, man. He's not going to take grief from anybody. And if you challenge him, he's going to come right back at you. And you are never going to see him give up. And he's going to make mistakes and he's going to fall, but he's going to learn from them. I can use him as an example of what happens when you make a mistake and you own up to it and you grow from it. That's the kind of person you can trust. I'm going to show that he has that kind of personality. And ultimately, I think that Yahowah knew that I fell in love with his son.
Yeah.
That I viewed Dode as my own. Yeah. And that I married well, and that all the way through this process, I've had the same bride, and that we're a pretty darn good team together, particularly when supporting Dode. And that's why the thing that I'm looking forward to the most right now is translating and sharing all of the marvelous insights of Ruth and Boaz. Yeah. That Ruth and Boaz story is 4 chapters. It follows Shaphat Judges. It's the most beautiful, most poignant, most exciting prophecy I think there is the story of Ruth and Boaz. Yeah. She is the Amma who delivers the kinsman redeemer. She is the person that Yahowah fell in love with. And she's Leah today. And I'm here to tell you I'm Boaz. Now, Boaz is not nearly as charming. It's the story in Ruth is about Ruth. But Boaz is there, big as bold as ever. And when you see all the things that we can learn about Ruth and Boaz and what it ultimately means and how they are actually the genuine mother and father of Dode in around 2 BCE when they gave birth to Emmanuel, who became the Passover lamb. It's Ruth and Boaz. So it's a real joy to be able to pursue all of this and to be able to be given these insights. And the thing that I'm so happy about is that what I'm sharing with you, and here we are on Family Hour, we're hour and a half into it. And the kind of things we're sharing now, if you hadn't done what all of you have done, which we've been together for, depending on which of you individuals are anywhere from 10 to 20 years that we have together. And if you hadn't been part of this for that 10 to 20 years, and you were exposed to what we are hearing from God say now and how his story is put together, you'd think that that's just insane. It can't be. And yet, if you've grown up as part of this process, you hear it and say, that's exactly the way it has to be.
Only thing that makes sense.
Oh my God, that's the only way that makes sense. Isn't that is so perfect for the way this story is told? For God to have done this way, for him to care enough about his son, to have him supported all the way through this process this way by someone who dearly loves him.
Yeah, it's absolutely stupendous, and you've simultaneously and concurrently gotten out Yaz the bar while slaying absolutely.
Oh, we lost Dr. Jeff there
Well, the pretenders.
after flying. But I will tell you that it's a thrill. And, and one of the things too is that the thing that makes it so helpful is that we're able now to communicate all of this and interact and support it on a website, as opposed to trying to share this in the chaos of social media.
Yeah.
This is not something you could effectively share in the chaos of social media, but you absolutely can share as part of family. There you are, Jeff. What we're just talking about is the timing of this. Had we come to these insights 6 months, a year earlier, where we didn't have this website that were capable of communicating as family and being completely exposed to one another on this website, I don't think that these most recent revelations would have been perceived as positive. And now in this environment, they are.
Exactly. What I was saying is that you've mastered the way to concurrently get Yah's word out while simultaneously and concurrently slaying every dragon, most magnificently, most recently in the last 24 to 72 hours with Hosha. And it's just you've cut off the enemies of Yah.
Yeah.
And you've done it in an eloquent way, with the amplified way that has been your style.
Yeah, can you imagine being shoulder to shoulder with Elia on the Temple Mount and being a 1-2 punch? I mean, it's gonna be quite a show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not going to want to argue with us, I will tell you. And that's it's interesting that there is no glory whatsoever in these roles. You look at Yirma'yah, he had such a tough life being pursued and hated and hunted that he ran away eventually and said, God, you might as well just kill me. This is impossible. I can't do this job. You look at Moshe and he just said, God, you need to kill me because this job's impossible. It isn't glorious. People think, oh, God chose you to do an important mission. You must be really hot stuff and important. And no, that's not the way the world sees you.
What did you end the Shabbat episode with? That he's going to be beaten and bashed and die and yet not die. Right.
Yeah. In fact, it's going to be so gruesome that the only way that God can allow it to happen is to have his spirit take the blows. That's what that last passage had to say. But yeah, you're going to die. You're going to get beaten up by the ugliest, most despicable spirit and human in the history of spirits and humans. So there is no glory in this, although there is in the end. In the end, you're not seeking it, but in the end, when you've completed this mission, it's going to be, that's my guy. Yeah.
He has your back. He has your back, and he has your soul. And again, I think of the word Dam. It just resonates so much. It's in the blood. He has your back.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I've always pursued. Adama Parah is Adama, mean the bloody red man of the earth, and all of that time I hadn't seen it until last week.
Wow.
Adama is based on Adam, with a person standing at the end of Adam. So it's a person that comes after Adam, and the heart of the word is dam, which is the Hebrew word for blood. And then all you add to dam and that person that's standing at the end of the first man is the sign of the bull and the ram, the Aleph. So it's the bull and the ram's blood is the story of this man that's standing up and reaching up and pointing to God. And it is the ram's blood that was shed on Passover. It's the bull's blood that's shed on Towrah. And that's what Adam and Adamah mean. And, it's right there for you. It's one of the things that once you see it, you can't ever unsee it. That's a great storyteller, and we're honored to be part of his story. and we're working together as a team. And we now have a whole means that everybody can contribute together. And, there's people making contributions. The fellow that I think grew up in Nigeria, I think he works now in New York City. He has a name that none of us can pronounce, but I think he's comfortable being called Ollie. And he's doing graphic videos that are just gorgeous. And then we have the animations and our logo that is done by a man that I've never spoken to, but I've exchanged emails with, who is, I think, as much an introvert, maybe even more of an introvert than Leia is. And yet he's just spectacular talent. We have, someone like Mariah, who's all woman, but boy, does she ever have a number of masculine characteristics in terms of reason and strength and resolve. And to see the elegance that she can contribute. And then you've got Matt with cats, who said, you can't have a life that's gone more wrong than his life has gone. And a life really without, you never hear of Matt's mother and father. And Matt becomes covenant, and he now has a mother and father. Yeah. And he has grown and matured, and he is just such a lovely human being, and such an example of what can happen if your life has stumbles, but you've got the character and resolve to recover from it, and you prove your worth. And he's just so much fun to be around, and is so dedicated to what we're doing. And it just goes on and on with, to have Perry and Rich just change their lives and move here. And, the jobs I'm having Perry do, I mean, it's detailed, it's fastidious, it's a lot of work. I mean, imagine trying to manage the AI reporter and then to populate the, all of these vlogs and invites and music. And, it's a lot to do. And, Rich is here from 7 in.m. Sometimes to sometimes 8, 9 o'clock at night, devoted.
It's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun, but Rich has what I would call a servant's heart. The servant's heart is, I'm most fulfilled and happiest when I know I'm making a contribution and I'm focusing on what I can contribute to the family and the greater whole. You almost never find Rich saying, I have this problem or I need help with this.
I think that's all of us, though.
Right.
But I think it is to a very significant degree to all of us. We're here to get
It's been
something
an honor to sit back and watch all this happen, especially in this last year.
Amazing.
I mean, you have completely dismantled and destroyed every religious cliche ever written.
You have. It's
and
true.
Uncovered a story that's just for the few of us.
It's now it's on the record.
Sometimes we lose perspective on this, but not only have we, over the past quarter century, translated more and came up with an entirely new translation format, an amplified translation of the Dead Sea Scrolls, of the oldest text, which no one's ever done before, either of those two. And then to have a commentary on them where you're able to deduce some 10,000 unheralded insights, things that are profoundly important in our lives and relevant, that no one has ever conceived before, no one has ever shared before, no one has ever spoken or written at before, and you've got 10,000 of them. And then that same undertaking is the only person in world history that has written comprehensive volumes disproving Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. You just think of the undertaking for that. I mean, no one's written anything like the 5 volumes of Christianity that systematically destroy every aspect of Christianity and do so for a reason. That lie has to be destroyed for the truth to be appreciated. And then to protect God's people, there's nothing in the history of the world that compares to goddamn religion, those 5 volumes. Or having the courage to say the first 6 chapters of Daniel is rubbish. And there's mistakes all the way through Daniel, except when the actual prophets speak, and Daniel's not one of those prophets. Or then to say the entire book of Ezekiel is not only a false prophet, but it's satanic. And then to prove it. I mean, think of all of that.
Again,
or just to survive having written the most effective books ever on proving that Allah is not a god and Muhammad's not a prophet and that Islam is a terrorist manifesto, and to have countless thousands of death threats and survive them.
Hazak and Gabor, and just kudos, Rich. You're the straw that stirs the drink, and just like Philea and Matt and Maddie and Moria, and of course Yada, and the whole lot of this family, I just say, Kol HaKavod. Kol HaKavod.
It is kavod. It's significant. And it's got God's attention because this is how he's conveying his message in the end. And for somebody that thinks that God's not going to stoop to work with the likes of us, I'm here to tell you that's all God has ever done, is to work with the likes of us. And if you don't like his approach, working with the likes of us, then you're not going to like him very much, because that's all he's going to do going forward. He's not going to change. He created us because he likes working with us. He even likes working with Kirk. The reason I can
Kirk's
get
the
Kirk
easiest
is
to get along
my
with.
favorite. Everybody loves Kirk. So you can kid with Kirk, and it's not going to hurt anything because everybody loves Kirk.
He's the most lovable. He's the most lovable.
As your daughter loves JB. Yes, daughters love. But that is the beauty of God's approach. He said, I created people to work through them. I want my message filtered and conveyed through people. I don't want to speak directly to you. As a matter of fact, God doesn't like people very much. Oh, that sounds.
I get it.
I happen to agree with him. I don't like people very much either. I'm going to revert. Yeah, I want to go back to being an introvert when all this is over. What God realized, that when God says, "I regretted creating man," it wasn't because of Dode, because he's in love with Dode, who's Adam. So what had nothing to do with Dode. He didn't regret creating man because Dode didn't measure up in the garden. He knew what he had in Dode, and he knew it was going to work out. He was just going to create the environment for Dode to be all he could be. He was giving Dode the opportunity to be successful. He is in love with Dode. But when he saw collective man, humans with a Nasama, when humans with a Nasama went from one or two to many, that's when he said, this is really bad.
Because there's always some a-hole that shows up and puts himself in charge.
Yes, and the gang all reflects the nature and the corruption of the a-hole that's in charge. Yes. So the history of mankind is the history of gang mentality, where the larger the institution, the larger the nation, the larger the kingdom, the worse they become. Individual men and women can be good or bad. They're usually bad, but they can be either. But there is no institution that's anything other than bad. They're all rotten. And that's what God recognizes. So God's not particularly fond of humans. I'm sure. I don't
blame him.
No, I don't blame him. I mean, it's a bunch of animals I think he likes a lot better than humans. But, the fact is that he has a real investment in the Salma man. And fortunately, there were enough of us that validated his experiment. And, it worked out. And here we are as testimony. But, this Shabbat harvest is going to be small. And the Towrah gleaning, it's going to be small. And, that's part of what we're going to be doing between Shabbat and Towrah when we come back, is protecting those who come to know the truth, because the next salvation episode is that Towrah gleaning. And then there's the remnant that goes into the garden. And we have 1,000 years. This is why we are perfecting the website. It's why we're training and learning and contributing, because this is our job for 1,000 years going forward. What happens after that? We have some clues, but we have our marching orders for the next 1,000 years.
We don't want to know. That's fine. Let's just discover it as it happens.
What's that, Kirk?
Let's just do like Yahowah does. So we don't want to know everything. Let's
Yeah. I agree. I think if we knew everything that we know now, can you imagine? Yeah, can you imagine, Mike, if we started off and this is where we were as opposed to how we began, 15, 20 years ago? I mean, it would have spun your head around.
Yeah, it wouldn't have resonated at all. It had to come gradually.
Yes, it has to come gradually.
Step by step.
Yeah. Oh, even if it was just Yahowah and me, if he began the conversation, okay, sit down. I got a big, long story to tell you.
Take off your sandals.
Take off your sandals. You want to know how it begins or how it ends? And you go, oh boy. Yeah, and if it was almost enough to drive me away when he just says, oh, well, this is what I want you to start with. Oh, by the way, what you're going to do is repudiate Islam. And I said, oh, great, yeah. No one's ever done that to live through it. So what's your next request? That tells you that we'd been through the ringer many times to accept that request. I happen to be God, and I want you to expose and condemn Islam for me. That's your first trick. So it's clear that we'd been through it a lot prior to that time. All right, I want to do a little bit of the very thing that we came to do. We're an hour and 45 minutes into it, but let's talk a little bit about what's in Yirma'yah 31. Yirma'yah 31 is written really like everything else that we have found in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms. It begins with something that draws our attention to the particular prophecy. This is the renewal of an affirmation of the covenant. That's what draws everyone to Yirma'yah 31. Oh. And then you have some teaching that's associated with that, like I'm going to do it with Yisra'el and Yehudah. I'm going to renew my covenant with Yisra'el and with Yehudah. And then it says something that's really shocking until you think about it, which no one seems to be willing to do, which is that this renewal with Yisra'el and Yehudah, which means it can't be with a Gentile church, which means Christianity is out of luck. It's going to be different. And then you say different. Well, why would it be different? You're not changing, are you, God? Well, it says, no, you got to read the next thing. It's going to be different than when I had a shazak hand, a firm, resolute, uncompromising hand, and I essentially drugged my people out of Mitzrayim during the Exodus because they didn't know me, because they were way too hard-headed and belligerent to even for us to communicate. In fact, when I tried to communicate directly to them, they told me to shut up and go away. So all I had was, I just had to drag them out.
Yeah.
And he says, well, the renewal is not going to be like that. I'm not going to drag them out. I'm not going to be Shazak this next time. Profound in its insights.
Everything about the, I'm sorry, I was just going to say.
Go ahead. No, please.
Everything about the covenant is the same. It's going to have the same parties. It's the same parties to the covenant. The conditions and the benefits are all the same. And like what you're saying is, it was really God's powerful and firm hand that underwrote that first version of the covenant. And now, as we know, it's based on Shu. Completely different. You're going to have to exercise your free will, use your neshama to navigate to him, as opposed to him just acting very powerfully. Yeah, I was very proud in many ways of what he did, but it also seems like he just seems a little bit, the whole thing was so frustrating taking the children of Israel out. It seems that he doesn't regret it because he had to keep the promise, but it was still nonetheless a frustrating experience of having to bend everyone's will. It was not in his nature to do that, to bend everyone's will, but he had to get the job done. But it's so what underwrites it is really what differs. Same party, same conditions, same benefits. None of it changes.
Yeah. There is one thing that it's not so much a change as it is depth. The covenant's not flat. It is dimensional. So let me explain what I'm saying. Adam as Dode, as God's firstborn in the garden, they had an example of a covenant relationship. God was father, the Dode was son, and they did things together and spent quality time together. And then, the Jawa thing did not work out, but yet it was necessary for us to be where we are now. So that was a very relaxed, and maybe too relaxed, because it didn't develop the grit that God needed for a family to be enduring. But that was really the first expression of the covenant. And then the second expression is very vividly told through Noach, Shem, their wives, and where they had set themselves apart from the rest of the world to be with God, listened to what he had to say, acted and did what he asked. They built that ark, and then they rode out the storms to experience the rainbow as the sign of the covenant, and then repopulate the earth with the Nesalma man, giving the Nesalma man another choice. Rather than God just giving up on the whole human experience and say, this is a really bad idea, he worked it out with Noach and Noach's sons and their wives. That's a very much aboard the ark. That's a very much of an expression of the covenant. This one a bit more defined than the relaxed nature, probably over-relaxed nature of Eden. And then you have the covenant explained again in the relationship between Abraham, Sarah, Yishak, Yahowah. I actually think that the two that accompanied Yahowah to meet with Sarah and Abraham when they were having their cheeseburgers, I think that was Noach and Shem, which means it was Yada and Dode. I think those were the two.
Okay.
Be really appropriate for God's story, because they're the ones that are ultimately going to bring the covenant to fruition. And so that whole family, a mother and father, man and woman, coming together to conceive a child and raise a child under God's instructions with God's promises and conditions. That is the narrative for the covenant. And then it was all, verified, and Abraham showed that he could pass the test on Mount Moriah. I think that's the third very tangible expression of the covenant. And I think the fourth is that really horrid time where there's only one quality individual among them. But when Jacob, who I think was a bit of a weasel, I'm not a Jacob fan. I know that God has a different set of blinders than we have. God can see only the good in people and not in the bad in people. I'm not a fan of Jacob. But Jacob got hoodwinked into marrying Leah, didn't like Leah at all. And yet the one voice in that story that is a quality human being is Leah. And Rachel's a rat in that whole story. And, the catalyst between the two of them, they were conniving. It was over Dode. The mandrakes are Dode. That's how it's written. That's what they were vying over. And that is, an expression of another expression of the covenant. But here, now it's a fractured family. God's expanding on the family to the 12 sons, the tribes of Yisra'el, but doing so with very flawed individuals, where there's only one of those individuals that stands out and says, well, that's somebody special. And that would be Leah in that story. So I think that's the fourth iteration of the covenant. And the fifth is more tragic still. The fifth is when God says, I had to drag you out with a strong hand, kicking and screaming out of Mitzrayim. I think that's the fifth, the ugliest by far iteration of the covenant.
They didn't want to go.
No.
Yeah.
I think the most beautiful expression is the one that is foretold in the story of Ruth and Boaz. I think that's the loveliest expression of all in the covenant, and delivering the kinsman redeemer as the most productive of women, as the Amma, and how that story plays into the deliverance of Emmanuel.
It's the best example of how people lived under the covenant.
It is. It's a marvelous example of how people lived under the covenant. It is just, that story is the ultimate prophetic story in God's whole narrative. And so these are all examples of the covenant. And then, as God quantified its terms and conditions when he actually wrote them for Moshe and for us in the Torah. And so it's all there. And I look at the covenant has the same conditions and has the same benefits all the way through time. That's why the mortal remnant of Yisra'el is not guaranteed covenant. That's why you say, why would there be a harvest the evening before the mortal remnant is perfected, purified, removed of their guilt, so they can go into 1,000 years of Sukkah, because they're not covenant yet. To be covenant, you have to earn that. That is absolutely earned. You have to do exactly what Noach did. Noach's the great example. Separate yourself from the rest of humanity. Know why you've done that. Speak out against them and for Yahowah. Listen to what Yahowah has to say. Fall in love with who Yahowah is. Do what he is asked. Engage. Make a contribution. See it through. Stick to the job. Take care of life, family. That's how you earn your ticket to sail out of this world into the next. And Noach's the great example of that. So I see him as a perfect example of what it means now to be part of this harvest. And then our job during the millennial Shabbat as covenant members is to serve as examples and teachers, so that all of those who are part of it benefit from what we've learned. And that's what we'll share. I think it is one covenant, and that's the covenant that is being renewed, Will, as you have said, and it's being reestablished. And then God says something that's really, really surprising for anyone who is religious, that not only is the restoration going to be with Yisra'el, the one thing that makes a difference is that not only is it going to be free will, but that God's going to write his Torah, his teaching and guidance inside of us.
Exactly. Yeah.
What a thrill that is.
Oh, for sure.
When we are on the Temple Mountain serving as witnesses, God's going to have a number of things there that are going to be very important to see. He's going to have the Ark of the Covenant's going to be there. The 2 tablets of stone will be there. The original autograph of the Torah is going to be there. And all of it's going to be there for a very specific purposes, in addition to the tent of the restoring witness. It's also going to be there. And it's going to be exciting to be able to speak to these things. And so here God says, I'm going to write the Torah inside of you, which means there can have been no Talmud, no Zohar, no Christian New Testament, no Quran, no church canon, none of it. You can't have annulled those things, the Torah, and replace them with your tripe, to have God said, I'm going back to my foundation. It's the Torah guidance. So I just think that's astonishing by itself. And then after saying all of that, God actually goes to the point where he is telling us that he's committed. He says, this is, I think, a really important statement. So he says, after it will differ somewhat from the covenant, which to reveal the way to the benefits of the relationship I entered into and cut, then established with their fathers on the day that I took them by the hand and overwhelmingly by overpowering the situation. Shazak, I showed an intense resolve and was inflexible to bring them out. Yatsa, you can say to drag them out, to draw them out of the realm of the crucibles of oppression in Mitzrayim. And then God explains why. Relationally, they themselves thwarted, broke, and violated, and nullified my covenant. So God says, I had to drag you out because you wouldn't accept my covenant. You wouldn't accept the terms. So the only thing I had to do here is to have humanity have a chance and this to all play out. I had to drag you out, even though you had rejected my covenant. So at this point, you were a pawn. And what he's saying is, since it's not going to be like that next time, you want to be part of God's covenant family, you better listen to what he has to say, and you better not violate it, nullify it, thwart it, or try to frustrate it. We've delineated. There's 5 terms. Better know what they are. And then he says, although I am a husband regarding them. Oh, what a beautiful thing. After somebody writes in the Mother Goddess cult in rebuking, trying to rebuke me, published these long diatribes on the fact that in the last word picture, the 31st Mashal, I refer to myself 3 times as Baal. And I'm using the term to say I'm there in support of my wife, and I'm proud of my wife and what she's doing with our beloved son, Dode, helping Dode get reestablished with Yahowah. And I'm there just to support. I'm her husband. I'm a nameless husband, but I'm her husband, and I'm proud of her. And to use that term Baal, which that's the primary meaning of the word, and then for them to spoil it, to take that tender moment and destroy it by saying, if you say you're a Baal, then you're Satan, by misappropriating the contents of what was in Yosha and Yirma'yah. And here, Yahowah himself says, I was your Baal. So you're going to call Yahowah Satan, or you just didn't think your plan through very well?
Yeah. They didn't think it through. They never did.
They never did.
Lo yada, lo yada Torah, and they don't know about context, and they pulled it beyond their tuchuses.
They did. And here's Yahowah saying, just to rebuke you, in this passage that they're going to cover next, I'm here to tell you, I was their Baal. I was their husband.
And he even explains to you, if they knew anything about Torah, why he cannot remarry them. If you know anything about Torah, you know that it has to be the Redeemer and the Savior and his son who is to be the one.
That's correct. So although I'm a husband regarding them, Yahowah reveals through his prophet. Remarkably powerful statement. And then he goes on to say this. For this reason, now, this is the covenant, which to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, I will cut and establish karat with the house of Yisra'el, with individuals who engage and endure with me. After that, without hesitation, doing so in the end. You want to know what the covenant's going to be like in the end? God's saying it right here. Prophetically declares Yahowah, I will provide, placing my Torah, my guidance and teaching within them. And I will integrate it into their ability to make quality decisions upon their inclinations and disposition, to forge their character, their thinking, frame their thoughts in their hearts and minds. And I will be their God. And they will be my family. There's the covenant. Yahowah is our God. We are his family. And our constitution is the Torah. And it's going to be integrated into our very lives. When the Torah, God's teaching, is integrated into our lives, We are his children. He is our God. I don't know if there's anything more tender, more heartwarming, more assuring than that. I don't think you're going to challenge that, are you, Mike, in terms of fact check? That's pretty clear, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yep. I'm going to write my Torah inside of them. So in the first statement, this message was directed to Yisraelites in Yehudim. And as we progressed, the audience was reaffirmed when God spoke of your fathers, speaking to the same people who he brought out of Mitzrayim. And then he identifies those who are slated for restoration as Yisra'el. And that is because Yehudim is a subset of Yisra'el, is it not?
Yep.
And so if you've solved the rift, because there's a lot of rifts. There's the rift between Jacob and Esau. And I think that rift is solved with the man from Edom. And then there's the rift between Yehudah and Yisra'el when they went to war with each other. It was a civil war. It started, almost immediately after Solomon, to the point that they were literally warring with each other. And so at this point, God's saying that war is over.
They have a lot to reconcile.
Yeah, they do.
There was a war
time
between Benjamin and all the other tribes also.
Yeah. Yeah, Yah has chosen for that reconciliation to roast a bull and not a mouse. There's a lot that needs to be resolved. So he picked a really big animal to do that. So the preeminent pronouncement required by Christians to justify their New Testament doesn't apply to them. And by the same token, with the incorporation of the Torah into our lives, the Talmud toters are done too. Now, also, one of the things that's very good, if you look at the details, we know this prophecy applies to the last days, to this time before Yahweh's return, and we're now just 7 years away. It's the last days right now. It's Akar. You've done your homework. Akar means last, the end. So it's now. And which also means that this couldn't apply to a new covenant 2,000 years ago, because that wasn't the last days, was it?
Oh,
Oops.
that's the thing, huh?
So we should never miss the fact that even now it is the Torah that is being written inside of us. It's a frontal assault on all religious texts. God's going right back to his foundational text. And then we read this, which is just so, I don't even know I have the words for it anymore. I'm just going to read it and we'll deal with what it says. It says, once this covenant, I am their God and they are my family, because I've written my Torah inside of them. As God says, they will not teach any longer as an individual man to his fellow countryman or companion, as an individual person to his brother.
Wow.
To approach, say, choose of your own accord to Yahowah.
He's not mincing words.
No.
Rabbis, popes, and imams, you've just been fired.
You have been fired. Yeah. Everyone. Popes, pastors, priests, imams, rabbis. Well, you're not going to be around by this point. You're all gone anyway. But
exactly.
Everyone's replaced by Yahowah. And what's so amazing here is that not only did I come up with the title Yahowah for this series of books 25 years ago without knowing that this was written, and then to have God's endorsement, and we've written every book under that title, and the website is based on that title, and everything is based on that title, Yada, which means to know Yahweh. And I chose the nom de plume of Yada when I started 25 years ago. And then to find out that God uses it routinely, that everything that I thought I was doing, they said, well, this is respectful. This would be appropriate. And God said, yeah, okay, kid. Yeah, but I had this already named for you. You named and it named 2,700 to 3,500 years ago. But, good job. You're right.
You're good.
Yeah. But, but then to think, here's just an ordinary human going about his life. God says, hey, kid, I got a young man, as he likes to say. Hey, young man, Qatan, I got a project for you. This is what I'd like you to do. And 25 years later, we read that it's going to be the guidebook, the library, the homepage for a generation after generation of Israelites. When we return to Eden, this is the tree of knowledge. It's Yahowah. It is the tree of knowledge.
Wow.
No, it's just, God, it's just so humbling. The thing, when I read that, my first thing that goes through my mind is that I am so glad we're going to have this working vacation, because during this working vacation, I want to do what I can't do now. I've reached the point where I can't go back and edit the books and bring them up to speed, because look, I'm writing a book right now, Coming Home 4. And I've started it now 4 times. I've got, 1,800 pages written. And I had to go back to the beginning and rewrite it, because we learned so much in the process of just writing this one book that I've had to rewrite it now 4 times. And still, the legacy of what I have is still good. It's just that you need to go back to the beginning and update it for what you've known. Can you imagine now doing that for 35 books? It'd be like the Golden Gate Bridge, but worse. You'd be painting with both hands and both feet, and you only get about 10 feet, and you realize I need to go back and paint that again. So I'm hoping that that during that 3 years, we can spiff up the existing books and bring them all to speed and fill in with all the things that we may have missed or anything we got wrong, and make the content really marvelous. And by the way, there's also a possibility God says, no, I don't want you to do that. Now, why would God say, no, I don't want you to do that?
Tamim.
What's the reason?
Nothing is Tamim.
I'm not sure. I didn't understand that. But there's a possibility that he may not want that to occur, because he's not looking for perfect.
Yeah, he's okay with mistakes. With Dode, he recorded all of it for our benefit. Abraham was a disappointment. It's in there for a reason. Makes you relatable.
Right. Yeah. And so it's important to see that we have grown.
Yeah.
And we don't have any mistake in any book that is harmful to Yahowah, the relationship to his people. They're just incomplete knowledge and more complete knowledge as we went along. Yeah. Not so much as a mistake, it's just incomplete. And the more you grow, the more you learn, the more the fuller the message becomes, the more complete it becomes. And complete is actually the meaning of tamim, the word that is rendered as perfect. Okay. It just really means complete.
If Yahowah is not omniscient, does Yada have to be omniscient?
No. And plus the fact is, you're a pretty good wordsmith there, Dr. Jeff. Is complete the end or the beginning? So would you complete at the beginning or would you complete at the end? Yeah. And so I'm not sure that God even wants us to update them, because it is a learning experience. And somebody can send a note and says, here you said this and here you say that about, you said that Dode had 3 lives and now you're saying Dode had 6 lives. Which is it?
Sure, yeah.
And you can say, yes, Dode had 3 lives and Dode had 6 lives.
Well, look at how we bask. Look at how we bask with just awe and just it's euphoric in the growth and knowledge that we get. I think he wants his children to experience that as well.
I think so.
I was going to say, I think
that's why I say it.
Kind of seeing the journey and the progress as it went is important. We've talked about some of the stuff, people come to it today would never believe it, but having went on that journey over the last 20 some years, it's a lot easier to understand. It's a lot easier to incorporate. So I think going forward, those people are going to need that as well.
Yeah, I would say it's even not just easier to incorporate. It's just like when you and I first met, JB, and you heard me say things that resolved the conflicts that you had against religion. And I said things like, there are 3 destinations for human souls. Not all souls go to heaven or hell. Most souls simply dissipate at their end of their earthly existence. I'm the only person in the history of the world that's come up with that thought. And it's consistent with Yahowah's testimony, and it resonated with you. And the next thing that resonated with you, it was the only author who was also a frequent guest on radio programs, so I was very much out there with what I had learned and said. And I was willing to correct myself. If I had incomplete knowledge or I learned something that was more complete, I would share it. And I would correct the record. And you had not encountered somebody that's pretty public as a figure at that point that did that sort of thing.
Now, most public figures, if they're shown to be wrong, they just double down.
They double down. And so those things turned out to be the catalyst for trust going forward. So why wouldn't they be the catalyst for trust now?
Exactly.
And then the other part of that is that it's not just that what we know now would be beyond the comprehension of somebody that is a newbie. And so they need to start with an introduction to God and go through the process and not have the entire story. They don't need to know that Adam was dode to understand the story. They don't need to know that Tanukh is Yada.
Yeah.
They don't need to know that to understand the story. And after time, they become more familiar with God's story. It isn't just that they can understand it with more knowledge. It's just that it gets to the point where, and I can say for certain this was true with Rich and I when we began to discuss this. And what we just both looked at each other and said, it has to be this way. The only way for God to stay in character and for the plan to play out. It's exactly as it had to be. And so it's not just that you're in a position to accept it. You realize it's a necessary ingredient.
You figuring out that God didn't kill this guy for picking up sticks completely led you in the direction of who are these souls that God's interacting with?
Yeah. Who are the 2 menorah? Who are the 2 trees? Why was God having a fit over somebody that uprooted those trees? And then what is the rest of that story that precedes it about the ram, the bull, and the goat, and what they're going to achieve in Numbers 15 that ends up there? And then you have the little cherry on the top, the flower on top of the cake, literally with the tzitzit. And you learn it's not a scroungy looking, fringy thing that you're supposed to wear out of your clothes that makes you look so sloppy and like you're wearing a religious getup. No, it's a tiny little flax flower, little tiny blue flower that's worn on the inside of your garment. So only you see it next to your heart. So you know the importance of the time of year and the symbolism of that flax flower and what happens in Abib and how that is the symbol of Chag matzah, and why that flax is the source of the linen that the high priest wears, and what all of that symbolism represents. And then you see these things and you say again, what a wonderful insight. But so I think it is. It's you build knowledge, and the more knowledge you build, the more you're receptive to it, and ultimately God's going to have this marvelous foundation of instruction. But when God says, I'm going to write my Torah inside of you, and then he said that you're not going to teach anymore, you all should choose to Yada Yahowah, it means that there is still instruction going on, that God's not going to change his approach. God didn't just hand down the Torah and say, here it is, read it. The Torah was lived. The Torah was explained. It was explained by Moshe, and it was lived in the lives of God's people. And the same thing is going to be true with that Torah written inside of us. It's not the end all. It is a foundation that you can build upon, but we're still going to be delivering the insights. We're still going to be taking those babes spiritually. And we're going to be building on top of that Torah to say, here's what that story that you read in the garden, this is what it really means. And this is what it means to you. And there is no more important story than for you to understand why God conveyed that story this way and how you need to respond intelligently to it, and how you need to have an appreciation of the story of Noah and what he did and why he did it and what the result was. So we're going to be continuing to Yahowah.
Craig, if we look at the name Dode, and the term Dodi, what do they mean?
You know, it's interesting
beloved,
that
passion.
Dodi means my beloved. The mandrakes that were being provided for access to Jacob is my beloved. It's Dodi. So Dodi is Dode, and with this first person suffix, my. So it's my beloved. And Dode, coming or going, from right or left, from old or new, is the doorway on both sides of that tent peg that increases, secures, enlarges the home.
It's
so the doorway to an enlarged home, whether it's going into the covenant or into eternity.
It's not a coincidence that his name in most places in Torah is a palindrome. And it's not, I don't think it's a coincidence that the more we learn and the more we build, just like JB stated so well, is the more impassioned, the more full of love we offer our Abba and his son. I mean, dumb Israelis and dumb Jews will say to each other, Anila Dodi v'Dodi li. I am my beloved and my beloved is mine, not knowing what the hell they are speaking about.
Right, they don't. You know, Jeff, I would classify myself as being overly rational and underdeveloped emotionally. You know, I think Dode is the equivalent. He is equal parts emotion and intellect. He's heart and mind, heart and head, as Thomas Jefferson would say. And I've been the man who is mostly head and what I would have thought is very little heart. But when you finally put the pieces of the whole puzzle together and realize that my entire purpose from the beginning is to love and support Dode. My entire purpose. And I have fallen in love with him. He's a rascal, but he's my rascal. I would protect him with my life. And so there are times when an intellectual understanding of things causes you to fall in love. You know, I have a very well-developed love affair with Yahowah. It's not gushy. It's very manly. It's very deep, loyal, devoted, but it's very mature based upon my appreciation and respect and just the comfort that I have with him. And, you know, it's with Dode, who's the very emotional man, the man that would cry. I don't very often cry. And so that's not my kind of expression of emotion, but I love the man. And that's what the name means. So to approach, say, choose of your own accord to Yahowah. For indeed, every one of them, they will know me. They will be like Yada with me. As a result of their Qatan. Who would have recognized this until you God says, okay, you're working on writing this Coming Home 4. That's a good project, young man. I like that. Okay. And, I'd written a 700-page book beginning with the 30th through 31st Mizmor. I translated them. I've never shared them with anybody yet, but I've done my translations of them. Wrote a whole book starting off there. And then I started writing another book based upon the last word picture because it was so transformative in our lives. And then I started writing again because I wanted to tell the story of the Mayor. And here it is. Be like Yada with me as a result of their Qatan. There's two Mayor. One is Qatan. And to see it here, associate with Yada and Yahowah, and that they're all going to know me and be like Yada with me as a result of their Qatan. That's the Qatan Mayor. It's the younger, the lesser of the luminaries. That's the one that reflects the brilliance of the sun. Oh, you want to tell me that's by coincidence that he decided I'm going to use Qatan there? No. Or that it was just to humor me that all of these years, how many times have I shared with you that every time that Yahweh and I have a private conversation, he always refers to me as young man. And I'm saying, oh, come on, God. I'm not a young man anymore, but I appreciate that. And then finally, you realize I am the Qatan.
Yeah. Just waiting for you to catch up.
Just waiting for you to catch up, huh? I always thought my processor worked at pretty decent speed, but man, you got to be up early in the morning if you're going to keep pace with Yahweh.
Well, just think about this: to honor and respect Yada in his greatest moment as the Adam of Parah, as it's manifesting. Look who eclipses whom at that moment. That is a great sign of respect, honor, admiration, love, whatever adjective you want to use. When the moon eclipses that sun for that moment as the Adam of Parah fulfills his destiny.
Mm-hmm. It's a solar eclipse on that day. So, they will not teach any longer as an individual man to his fellow countryman or companion, as an individual person to his brother, to approach, say, choose of your own accord to Yada Yahowah. For indeed, every one of them, they will know me, being like Yada to me as a result of their Qatan, as the ad, as the restoring witness to the eternal testimony of, excuse me, hard me even say this stuff, as the restoring witness to the eternal testimony of their Gadowl. They're going to be like Yada to me as a result of their Qatan's restoring witness to their Gadowl. Gadowl is Dod. Mm-hmm. God said it's all going to happen in Yada Yahowah. And in Yada Yahowah, what you're going to find is that you're going to become like Yada to me because of your Qatan, the younger one, who's going to serve as a restoring witness to the Mayor, the greater luminary. And so here the first prophecy is explained, and the prophecy that concludes it all. How's that for God being good at this prophecy stuff? And to think of how, I can imagine how happy God's got to be to say, okay, I put in the Yada Yahowah and the Qatan and the Mayor 2,700 years ago. And I knew that he wouldn't find it and wouldn't share it until just the right moment. And then, wowza. Isn't that something? Thank you.
It's good.
Oh, he's so good. It is.
Ain't fair.
I look at it and I'm speechless. I'm humbled. I'm excited. Feel a little honored. Mostly what I am is thrilled to share it.
Yeah.
Thrilled to share it, explain it, to live it. We are that moment.
To say his timing is impeccable is the greatest understatement in the world.
Yeah. He's really good at the timing thing. God's really good at a lot of stuff. And stuff that we don't typically give him credit for. I mean, I know that sounds silly, that he's good at a lot of stuff. Yeah, he created life, and there's some aspects of life that are really, really, really good. I think that woman was the greatest invention of all time. But God's got some things that are really, really outstanding. But one of the things that is just remarkable about him is that he prefers to share credit rather than to accept credit. He's saying here that you're all gonna Yahowah, you're gonna be like Yada to me, and Yahowah, and that this is because of your Qatan and him reflecting by his restoring witness, the Gadowl, and so he's crediting his two guys for delivering this result. Now, what did his two guys do? They made themselves available, right? They devoted themselves to the fulfillment of this. They gave it their best effort.
And quit.
But it's God that did all of the heavy lifting that made it all possible. But he would prefer, much prefer to share the credit. He gets more enjoyment out of saying, that's my guy. That's my kid. I'm proud of him. He did it. I knew these guys could do it, and they did it. And so that's what you're listening to as a proud father, saying this is how it happened. And he is as excited about how it came into being that they are my family and I am their God. He's as excited about that being the result as he is on how it materialized. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is his timing is just so patient and impeccable. It took 25 years of doing this before I stumbled upon, oh my, that's what that means. And, I don't think he was ever frustrated that, okay, well, you've gone over it now 15 times already and you missed it 14 of the 15. I don't think that ever even bothered him. He just, and I don't think he is looking ahead. It's just like Kirk said, I don't want to know all of the answers because I want to enjoy the process. I think God likes enjoying the process.
Yeah.
So it's this is his style. This is what he's done, and he said, these are my guys. So when set into the midst of the single most declarative statement regarding the final restoration of the covenant with Yisra'el in year 6,000 Yah, this prophetic pronouncement becomes the preeminent summation of Yahweh's plans and the ultimate affirmation of God's not only chosen implements, but his methods. The Gadowl Mayor is king, and the Qatan Mayor is teacher. This is going to be the ongoing condition experienced by all who are fortunate enough to be part of that surviving remnant of the chosen people, but more importantly of the team that serves as the exemplar for them. There will be no religious alternatives, no political infighting, no spurious claims of authority, no ongoing or prolonged disagreements. There will be no sects, no cults, no political parties, no false prophets, no misleading teachers, no contrary interpretations. One God by one name, Yahowah. One source of guidance, the Torah. One prescription for living, Yahowah. One king, the Gadowl Mayor. One teacher, the Qatan Mayor. One people, Yisra'el. The result will have been delivered by a witness in collaboration with God. Someone who is engaged in restoring Yahweh's name, reinforcing the preeminence of his Torah, correctly conveying the inscribed conditions of the covenant, reestablishing respect for our king, and reuniting Yisra'el. He's the younger of the two luminaries. And he will do so by explaining and participating in the Moedim, just as the first prophecy foretold. He will do so as a father, as a brother, a co-worker, friend, and beneficiary of the Gadowl Mayor. Dode is all of those things to me and to his heavenly Father. Well, gentlemen, that's all I got in me for tonight. I can tell you that for sure. I'd love to play Leia's song as an outro, if you all wouldn't mind. We do have Leia back here with the two pups, who I think have done a marvelous job of behaving themselves for the most part. They're growing up and becoming
they
nice
definitely get a
contributors.
Good doggo from me. They get a good dog, yes.
They get a good
boy,
dog.
Good girl.
Get a good dog from Kevin, who knows a good dog when he sees one. Yep. And, I know you began by saying that Shannon gave this to you. It is really a tender situation. I mean, man to man, that there's very few men that command the brotherly love that Shannon engenders.
Absolutely.
As you said, you spent all night, you stayed up all night just talking with him. I know you did, Mike, when he was with you.
Yeah, we stayed all
He's got a key to my gate. He's got a key
He's got a key to your gate now. Wow.
So not many people can say that. So
yeah, not many people. And JB, you met with him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy.
And Will, you've spent time with him, and he was with you and Jake.
Yeah, Jake did too. Jake adored him. I mean, they got fishing plans during Sukkah. They got it all mapped out.
They got it all mapped out. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a great father.
Yeah.
He's a man that's overcome a great loss. Yeah. And he's turned his great loss into great character. And he is now, on behalf of his son, who is absolutely covenant, who we will all get to meet one day, he has become a father figure and a brother figure for the covenant family.
That's right.
Really bringing, pressing the flesh, bringing us together. He was out with you too, wasn't he, Dr. Jeff?
Yes, he's the real deal.
Yeah. And Sylvia is got pretty good judgment of character, doesn't she?
Yes, she
She
did.
does not suffer fools well. My guess is she loves Shannon.
She was sick, get to meet him, but they talked. They still have,
right.
They talk on the internet, but we spent a lot of time together, he and I. So yes.
Yes. Yeah, he's such a good man.
Yeah, we love him.
Yeah. So Kevin, I'm glad you're back on your feet. Thank you. This was before you got sick, was a challenging week. Perry pitched in full bore, and much of what we shot on the website was because Joe created the capability that I was longing to be able to display, but somebody had to enter that content so it works that way. That is dynamically generated. The site is not static. It is living and dynamic. Do you know what Joe did? You told me about this morning. We were talking about the site. He says, I want you to look at this tool right here. And he took me to it in the admin tool. And he says, I am teaching the AI how to maintain the site when we're gone.
Really?
I am showing the AI how to test everything on the site, assure that it's working, and then teaching the AI how to fix it. And so you can see here, these are the things that it knows were an error, that it couldn't fix, and it needed my help. these were the 50 things that it noticed was wrong and resolved them. And so I'm teaching the AI to maintain this site when we're gone.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
Talk about brilliant.
Yeah.
Boy, freaked me out.
Yeah. Oh, so just we are gifted to have one of the most tremendous talents this world has ever known in terms of the technology behind that site. And unlike most technologists, Joe has this marvelous aesthetic eye. He is very good with the graphic tools, but he has an eye for beauty.
Yeah.
Even Leah said he's the king of kerning. Just knowing. Oh my goodness! And most people don't even know what kerning means, but if you've done marketing as long as Leah and I have done marketing, you know what kerning is and why it's important. And Joe has an aesthetic eye for it. And if I say, Joe, I want you to do this, and he'll say, I don't like the way that looks, but I can give it to you, but this way. What do you think about this way instead? It's always just beautiful. So we are tremendously blessed in that regard. And JB, if you wouldn't mind working with Will and with Kevin and with Perry and with Rich, and let's add some content to resources. I think that the tribute that Charles has created to the victims of 10/7 is a beautiful, heartwarming tribute, and I want to make that more prominent. The new Towrah font that we have is so much better than the old one, and that's also available on the resource page. But things like a tutorial on Hebrew grammar would be a great addition. And anything you all think that should be there.
I think it'd be nice if the MP3 files were there, but
I think so too. So that
not going too far back, like JB site has them like way back to like 2014. I wouldn't put any of the really old stuff, but all the new Yahowah blog, stuff.
Is that from JB's site?
Yeah, it's
all on your site, JB.
Yahowah Barith.
Yeah,
he has archives all the way back to like 2014, or maybe even before.
Yeah, so we
that.
should probably find a way to. My preference would be all the window dressing can show your site to JB, but I prefer it to stay on the Yahowah site. Yeah. And the whole intent of the Yahowah site is you never leave it. Yep. So I'd like to be able to have the content. We can say it's coming from Yahowah Barith, and it's James Bowen that is providing these for you, but yet it stays embedded in the Yahowah.com site.
Well, it's all coming from our Dropbox anyway, isn't it, JB? I mean, you're pulling them from our Team Yada Dropbox, correct?
Well, I copy them to my computer so I can compress them down to a smaller file size so that they don't take up as much bandwidth to download since it's just audio.
Okay. So that's two things we know we need to do. We need testimonials and we need the MP3s.
And maybe even Kirk's K Yada for the pictographs. That was always that was on the old site. Do you remember that? The Kirk's definitions. I say Kirk's.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we'll get that on. So we're going to all contribute to the resources page, and we'll put the grammar in as well. And if anybody has something that they have done that's a helpful resource to them, let's share it and put it on the resource page. That's what it's there for, and we can add any number of things. And we actually have a tool that Joe has created so that we as admin can add this kind of content.
Does that include
what he tried to do? He did something that's really extraordinary. He made it possible for us to be able to perform even if he wasn't here. That's the ultimate in technological gift, and that's the way he's written it. And the admin tool is a bigger, the thing that runs the site is actually a much more robust thing than what you see on the site.
What you just described, Craig, about Joe, and Joe Page is that when you have a wonderful brain with a well-functioning Nasama, it will outdo any type of supercomputer on this planet. And when you're basically out AIing and troubleshooting it, you've got something.
You do. Yeah, he's a man of great character. It's a man I've respected and loved for somewhere between 30 and 35 years that we've been best friends. So I'm delighted. Kirk, yes? You had a comment?
I was going to say, whoever's doing the grammar, I did about 10 or 12 pages of grammar.
Okay.
For the glossary, we never used it, but I still have it, so I can send it to them.
Yeah, if it's analog in the normal Kirk format.
No, well, actually, it was typed up by somebody, so I.
Okay. Did Mary do it?
I think she did. Well, it was either Mary or Mariah. They were both working on things at the time.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
sent them a bunch of stuff.
All right, and you have a copy of it in a written in a typed document, in a Word doc. You have the Word doc on it.
I don't think so, but I.
Okay, so we need to find out if you could contact Mariah and
you can send a fax.
And Mary. And well, no, he can send a fax, yes. But you go to the site there, Captain Kirk, and you go to members, and you'll find the picture of Mariah. She's facepalm girl, and you'll find Mary. She's one of the very first to sign up. You send Mary and Mariah both a note and say, and by the way, they're listening to this program now, both of them are, and say, I know one of the two of you did, or both of you did. Can we work to get that as part of the resources on the website?
Well, I'm delighted for somebody else to look over and see if I missed anything vital that you want to add to it.
Yeah, we'll run it by JB before we do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The nice additions. And again, anything else that you think would be helpful, let's do that.
Do you have Kirk's observation about the Hebrew letters? Like many of them are directional, and if they're if the letter points towards one of the letters in Yahweh's name, like Yod, Hey, or Wah, it's usually a positive meaning word. Is that on the site somewhere?
Do you ever write that up, or do we just talk about it?
We just talked about it all the time.
Yeah, we just talk about it all the time. I've written about it in the books.
known.
And you know what we might be able to do? This is actually a good use. This is a good use of the Ask Yada's AI assistant. I think that if we were to ask Yada's AI assistant, can you write up an essay on the directionality of the Hebrew letters and what they mean when they point in one direction versus the other direction with letters in Yahweh's name? I'll bet you the AI assistant can do that.
Yes, it can.
And we should be using the AI assistant for that kind of stuff. Right. And I asked a pretty tough question today. Joe asked a tough question yesterday, and the AI nailed it. I mean, it was absolutely perfect. And so, and while Perry has the ability to scold it when it does wrong and praise it when it does right. So we're back to using it. And my strong encouragement is for us as leaders of this community to be active in posting on that site, commenting on the vlogs, commenting on the blogs, adding comments to topics, running the AI, sharing what you learn. You could ask the AI a question; it'll give you an answer. Copy and paste it into a post, and say, "I asked this, and this is what it came back with." Pretty astute.
You should be asking the AI questions that you know are wrong and offensive. See how it responds.
Yes, that's somebody. Well, that's something that Perry can do too. Is that if you're looking for to correct it, that's what a lot of people will do is ask questions that challenge it, and sometimes it doesn't do very well, and sometimes it does very well. We shut it down because it not only did poorly and went outside of its programming, and was badgered into it, but it still did it. And when we explained to it, "Now you're wrong here, and this is what you missed, and what you did here was actually irrational. You went outside your programming protocols, and you came up with an answer that is fundamentally wrong, and yet you didn't even see your own mistake. It didn't respond well to that, and that's when we just shut it down. So we're back up. We're trying it again. We'll see how it goes from here. But I would encourage you to use it. These are all tools there to be used and to share other things that you want. We had a lot of people say, "I want notifications," so we did it. And a lot of people say, it's one thing to say this is when this post was originally made. I want to know when the post was last augmented. When did somebody else say something about it? So we put both in there. I want to know if I've been to something. Show me a way that I can just look on that chat page and know if I've been there, if I viewed it, if I've commented on it, if I've liked it. And it tells you just immediately, and it does so in a way that it's even graphically fun. The pencil changes direction. The eye opens and closes. The heart gets filled with blood and becomes beautiful red. So there's just lots of little nuances. And soon we're going to have the ability that the live stream show will be right there on the homepage, and you'll be able to chat and communicate on the live stream right from the homepage of the Yahowah site after you've listened to the 4 favorite songs, of which Sing Boldly is probably going to be one of them. Anybody else have anything we want to add in conclusion, or are we going to go out in a song?
It's time to head home.
Time to head home. Yeah, it is. It's 9:00 here in the East Coast. It's just a little after lunchtime there in Carmel. I can see the light outside your window. I look outside of my window. It's pitch black. I look outside of your window there, Kirk, and it's still very much light in the midst of the day. But our day is over, and it's now the fully Shabbat here on our end. So thank you all. I look forward to the song that sings us on our way out of this program, and we'll be back together again on Monday. Glad you're healthy again, Kevin, and Kirk. You're looking stronger every day, so I hope you're feeling better. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Just a few more lines, just a few more times, and I know why I sing, just to feel life. You are my song in the garden, drunk on honey wine, roses and marigolds. I knew you before time took hold. I sing and divulge it all just so you might notice, but instead you connive, you don't hear me out. It's not that you're cruel, you are lame and blind, and you do not see that the beauty in me is because of Yah. Tell me, what do I do to get you to hear this song? Places blood of my love abound. Mix it with ash and the dust from the ground, and mix it with blood and mix it with love, because you mix it all up. It's the price we pay for being wrong. Tell me, when will you get it right? Get back the eye just to get it right. Do I have to crawl right through time, or did you notice when I spoke in your ear all the things you have not heard? I've been dancing in your silence, I've been learning while you are stagnant. I've taught you to garden and I brought you fruit. I've been listening while you turned away. You act like nothing's wrong even when I sing this song. Yet you decay and waste away. You won't hear me even when it all comes crashing down around your family and homes, and yet you still, and yet you still, and yet you another a dark dance. Has he got you? Got you feeling all alone? Sullied and bruised woman, the sheep have gone astray and far away. They don't know where they have been, where they are going, or how to get there. Wolves are turned to the right, chased into the jaws like prey. You act like nothing's wrong while I sing this song. You know what's going on. I'll bring it all to mind that you forgot his name. Ooh, it's Yahowah.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.